Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. The crew of Mission 41C, Mission Commander Bob Crippen, Pilot Dick Scobie, Mission Specialist Terry Hart, Jim Van Hoften, and George Nelson.
We're going to share with you a little bit of what the mission was like from our standpoint, and the way we normally do that is with the post-flight film that we'd like to run through for you. If we could go ahead and show the movie, please.
This is the ascent portion of our mission. The countdown at the Cape just went flawlessly. We were really pleased with the way things went on down there. The engine starting, you can see the shock waves come out of the throats of the nozzles. The nozzles vibrate, the engines get up and stable in about 6 seconds. Solid rocket motors fire, and we're off. And for a new guy doing this the first time, it's really a thrill. And that thing feels like being on a rough train while the solid rocket motors are firing. If y'all have been on a rough railroad track, that's about what it feels like. And it's a very interesting ride. You can function normally. And right before we lifted off, Crip said, "Get ready for the ride of your lives," and he was right. It's the ride of your life.
It's still really a big thrill on your third time, too.
One of the neat things about this mission was we're going to do direct insertion into orbit, so we didn't do an orbital maneuvering system one burn right after the main engine's cut off, so we're going right into orbit off the pad, and we're going up 250 miles, so the trajectory and everything was a little bit different, and it made a real interesting ride out of it. The solid rocket motors, the engines and everything just are magnificent. We didn't have a glitch the whole ascent, which is really nice. You don't want any glitches when this kind of stuff's going on outside your window.
We all kept on watching Crip make sure this is the way it's really supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay, solid rocket motors separated. You saw the plumes from the separation motors. Those fog up our windows pretty good up in front. They put a haze on the forward windows when they go off, and you get a nice flash in the windows, but it's a nice smooth separation. This is our external tank coming in by Hawaii. One of our test objectives was to put that tank in so they could take pictures of it. This is the tank breaking up just south of Hawaii. And it's low-light TV, so you get some blooming in it, but you can also see the rather large pieces of the tank and how much it's broken up. And they were trying to measure the footprint of those pieces as they came into the ocean to see how big the dispersion was on them. So that's all bits and pieces of the big tank we carry.
Looked like it lit up the area pretty good over there.
Yeah. And this next picture is the orbiter coming right along behind, and if it hadn't been for the ohms burn, we'd been right behind the tank, which we didn't want to do. So.
This next series just goes through each of the guys, make sure you prove that we were on board, which we were. Some of our going through our little activities and getting squared away. That shot shows Ox with the Linhof camera we had on board. It's the first time we've flown that. It's got a 5-inch by 4-inch square format that really makes some nice pictures. That Texas coast picture we saw a while ago was shot from that. DJ?
On day 2, we started a sequence of RMS activities that would result in the deploy of LDEF, and can't say enough about our Canadian friends that built and designed the RMS. It's just a beautiful flying piece of hardware. This is the starboard grapple fixture of LDEF that we used for the deploy, and essentially the payload's tied down in the bay with some latches, and once the RMS has it securely grappled, Crip released the latches, and we pulled it out and put it through its paces for a couple hours, and very steadily poised the orbiter in the right attitude and released the payload rates. LDEF is unique in it. It's a very simple payload, no gyroscopes or anything like that nature on board, and it was incumbent upon us to release it without tipping it or getting any kind of motion started. We hope that the next 10 months to a year it will stay in this exact attitude that we left it in for recovering.
We also carried a unique camera on board that's referred to as IMAX that shoots a 70mm movie film, and here it shows a scene with me loading the magazine and running it through. It's about 1,000 feet of film in a mag. TJ?
I had a lot of explaining to do what I was doing with it in the bag here. Every time they saw me at the mid-deck, I was in the bag, but that's what we used to change the film out from the can into the magazine. We were getting ready for the rendezvous here on day 3, and we got excellent support from the ground all the way in, and the onboard system worked just fine. We made the rendezvous without any problem at all.
This is in the bay in the MMU, getting ready to take off for the satellite. See the TPAD sticking out there in front. flight over to the satellite was just like we'd practiced in the simulator, except the view was a little better. You'd see we were a little closer than the 200 feet that we'd planned, and so I only did a 2 potato burn instead of a 2.5 potato burn, so I went a little slower than.
But all that felt very comfortable from my standpoint of watching the satellite and watching Pinky do the flyover just like we planned it. It's a nice, stable device that the MMU really performed superbly throughout the flight.
The MMU was really a very, very nice machine to fly. You could put it wherever you wanted. Flying up on the satellite was just like we'd done in the simulator, all the way up to the point here where we attempt to do a dock, and the TPAD hits that little pin that's sticking out and bounces right off. That's a view from the helmet-mounted camera.
The satellite initially was rotating at about 9/10 of a degree per second about its long axis before the attempts to grapple it.
This, I think, is the last attempt I made at doing the docking. We had some pretty good rates on the satellite already. You can see go in there and I watch I'll bounce right out again. You bounce out at about the same rate you go in.
When Pinky bounced off for the third time, I guess I became convinced that we were not going to be able to get it with the TPAD, and it didn't look to me like it was worth trying to come back and get the other TPAD because I didn't have any reason to think it'd work any better. We did have a rotating grapple up our sleeve. However, the satellite was tumbling end over end, as you can see here, and the grapple fixture is right under one of those solar arrays, so there's no way we'd be able to attempt the rotating grapple either. That was when I asked Pinky if he thought he could try grabbing hold of one of the solar arrays, which is what he did here.
And the MMU, again, performed flawlessly. It was a fairly easy task just to fly up and grab the solar array and walk out to the edge of it and try and stabilize the satellite. And when I let go of the satellite, we all thought we had it stabilized, but there was some energy in there someplace.
It basically had stopped rotating in the pitch and yaw axes, and the only thing we had going was, it appeared to us, was that a little roll around the long axis again, which is what we wanted. So we brought Pinky back in and attempted to go ahead and grapple it. However, when we went back, it actually developed more of a tumble again. However, this time it was in a mode that we thought we could gain access to the grapple fixture. We made about 4 attempts at it, and it was tumbling in such a fashion that TJ came within inches of getting it one time. I thought for sure he had it, and so it blossomed. Our TV camera did, that he uses for the grapple, and I really contributed that mostly with the reason that he actually didn't get a hold of it that time. The ground told us they thought they might be able to stabilize it, which was new data to us, and they gave us some fuel figures that what they needed, so we elected to go ahead and go along with that option and backed out and to try again another day.
This is letting the bees out of their little house here, we did this a couple times a day. It was good entertainment, if nothing else, and we were watching their progress on their honeycomb.
Yeah, we made sure that there was no way they were going to get out of there.
I checked that first thing.
This is a little bit of in-flight repair with the EVA power tool. We weren't programmed to use it inside the vehicle, but it turned out it was a really good way to take off and put on panels so that we can get at some filters inside the vehicle and clean them. And Pinky did most of the work, but this is just me doing some, putting some in just for practice.
You know, the government runs on paper, and we have to have our teleprinter on board. It's just taking a message out of the teleprinter for the day. And when we changed our flight plan there, we got flight plans up from the ground every day like that.
We did our daily exercise like we always do. So we have a treadmill on board, and we all spent 10 to 20 minutes a day on the treadmill whenever we could find time.
Okay, and we're getting set up to go in and try the second rendezvous attempt. Incidentally, from a rendezvous standpoint, we noticed a few minor anomalies with respect to that, but the basic system really works superbly. Rendezvous works just like it did back in the Gemini days, as far as I'm concerned. We can get 2 satellites together, and we'll probably get a chance to exercise that extensively out in the future.
That's the slowest anyone ever saw Crippen move inside a shuttle. He was doing that so we could take a picture of him. Intrepid pilot.
Always easier than 0G. Moving around up there is really nice.
Put on the seatbelt just to hold me in the seat while we were doing some of our burns.
Notice it takes a few books to do that operation. We got them spread out everywhere. We came in and rendezvous with the satellite the next time, and it had about 0.5 degrees per second rotation rate going, and this was just the way that we had practiced it down here on the ground. Maneuvered in, and TJ grabbed hold of it with no problems whatsoever. That's it, the gold thing outside the window there.
And you can also see the arm moving in the other window, so that was right about the grapple time. This is the solar max node in the flight service structure, and just the way we wanted to see it in the first day, but we finally got it there.
This is the guy we called Oscar. This was the third spacesuit we had on board. Just show you what it's kind of a demonstration here, just how easy it is to move things around. This weighs about 375 pounds.
This is where the guy said, "Oh, that feels good."
Been in there all this time. Spacesuit comes in basically about 4 pieces. Here, you take his pants off, and it's got 2 gloves and a hat. It's we had excellent luck with our spacesuits. Mine was absolutely no problem at all. Pinky had a little problem with his air conditioner, but in general, the suits worked really well.